have an intermission with a cheer to Bruce, and then we're going to have an open mic. So think about what you can say for your open mic. It's going to be about a minute or 2 minutes for each of you. So we've got, 170 people here. So we're here until midnight.
Excuse me.
And then at the end, it's not standard, but at the end of the
Pass me one of those napkin holders. Napkin holders? Yeah, they're the weights.
My name is Tom Martin. I'm an old friend of the Barretts. Bruce and I first met. We went through teaching training together in the infamous PDP program inside in Fraser, so that's what completely wired me. But and then I taught with Bruce for a few years, and I got to know the family very well. We spent lots of time in senior army with the Barretts and the Barrett girls, and I and my wife were fortunate enough to become their godparents. So I don't know. That was a good thing or not. Anyway. Say again? Yeah, everybody can sit down. Hey, you can stand up. You can fill your face.
Is it loud enough? Can you guys all hear?
Everybody here okay? So Bruce was born in 1945 to Pat and Theodore Barrett in L.A. He moved as a young child to Oklahoma for a couple of years, and of course I always give a bad time because that's his accent. But we won't hold that against him. Then they moved back to Ventura when his father got posted there. Bruce is interesting if you think about it. He grew up in the 50s in California. What male would not like to have grown up in the 50s in California? I mean, later on, LSD was still legal in the late 50s, early 60s, and it was all Swiss pharmaceutical grade. So anyway, Bruce became a surfer, and that was a surfer of a note. He was, his father gave him an option, so the rumor goes, that if he had a choice, you can go surfing every day after school, or you can go to church. Well, what a fellow do. Obviously go to church, but no, Bruce decided to go surfing. So Bruce became a surfer, and he knew all sorts of surfers down there at the time. So if you name any of the old surfers from the 60s, the late 50s, Bruce knew them all. He even knew Hobie, that started Hobie Cats. It was interesting stuff. So Bruce was a builder. Bruce built families, he built structures, he built friendships, he built boats, and he helped build the foundational lives for his students. First and foremost, he was a family builder. He met Pam in the 60s at a party. Pam showed up with another fellow, left with Bruce. Now, I always told him it was because he was wall-eyed, and one eye would go this way and one eye would go that way, to keep everybody confused. So he won Pam over, and they were married in 1967. They had 4 wonderful daughters, and I'll get to that a little bit later, but they moved to Canada in 1971, up to Seymour Arm, homesteaded up there, and then later on, I think it was 76, 77, they moved to Kamloops. That's when I met them. Partially that was to so the kids could go to school, my understanding, in a public school system. So his 4 daughters were Jen, Amy, and later Allison Marie. That led to 4 grandkids, Sawyer, Morgan, Gwen, and Sam. And they're all here today, you guys. Great. Bruce was so proud of his family. We'd get on the phone. Of course, Bruce didn't text, right? So we'd get on the phone, and he'd always tell me what was going on. So I just felt like I was with the family every day. And Bruce was a great family man. And he was also talked a lot about family history, and a lot of you people know that. There's some books down here, some old family history. And Bruce was connected to British Columbia in a big way through his great-great-grandparents down in Vancouver. So he wasn't, he comes about his Canadian citizenship very honestly. He was also a builder of friendship. Not all of it was from tequila, but he did. He had friends everywhere. He had friends surfing, he had friends in tennis, he had friends teaching. The staff room at Westside, it was like, he'd walk in and which table was Bruce at? Oh, he's over there with all the little boys and girls and everything else going on. But remember this, because you have an open mic coming, so you guys can tell us some of the stories. I'm not going to tell them all. So Bruce was a builder of structures. He learned how to frame from an old friend of his named Big John. And not many of you would have met Big John. You probably heard about him. Big John was a hell of a carpenter, and he taught Bruce how to frame. Bruce framed on those huge housing tracts out of LA back in the 60s. So he learned how to frame, and if you go to any of the structures he built, you can see how well he did with that. He was phenomenal. He loved building things. He was always building something. Built a beautiful house up at Seymour Arm, renovated their house up in Bachelor Heights. It was always, he had something to do with wood the whole time. He was a builder of boats. Bruce started out by building a cedar strip canoe many years ago, and then he ended up building 4 boats for each of his daughters. And that would be something that's going to outlast most of us. Their boats are phenomenally made, and he spent hours and hours and hundreds of hours on those boats. It was really quite an accomplishment that he did. He built a brewery in his basement. I'm not going to take credit for that, but that was something it was rather funny because he always had a beer tap on his fridge. So the other thing he helped build the future of his students. He was very well liked as a teacher, as you know. There's a lot of teachers here. He helped build the foundation that his students. A little piece of him went with all the students, and that really showed. And Bruce was really proud of that. Bruce was a proud Marine. It's hard to believe. Through the 60s and the early 70s, there was an anti-military thing. But Bruce did his 5 years in the Marine Corps and then moved to Canada afterwards. And it was very interesting. He would talk about his staff, his drill sergeant. Of course, his drill sergeant, according to Bruce, was 6'9", big black guy. And he'd say, "Barrett, you gotta look at me. Look at me right now." Of course, Bruce, when I go this way, and when I look at him, he'd say, "No, Barrett, I told you to look at me." "Okay, on the floor, 50 push-ups." He'd do that every morning when Bruce wouldn't look at him. So and there's other stories. All of you guys have heard them, probably, but some of you can tell them in the open mic. Bruce was a sailor. He taught a lot of his friends how to sail. And a lot of us did some sailing with him. We would go down to the Sunshine Coast. And some of note sailing that Bruce did was he used to sail when he was a kid out to Santa Catalina Island, 26 miles. Remember the song, 26 miles across the sea? And he did a lot of scuba diving down there at the same time. And so he was very much a waterman. If there was water and there was a vessel, Bruce would usually be on it or under it. It was quite an accomplishment. There's a story of, and most of you guys are here, that we were down out of Madeira Park on the Sunshine Coast. One night we sailed across to an island called Esquiti Island. And this is a typical Barrett stuff. Free oysters. The oysters were the size of my fist. And it was starting to get dark, so we're picking all these oysters in this little bay. Get up in the morning after we consumed raw breaded oysters, fried, and everything else we could do. And there's a sign that said, don't eat oysters in this bay. This is where the effluent's pumped into. We couldn't figure out why they were so big. Well, of course, Bruce it was perfect. He just laughed it off. Bruce is a musician. Many of you have been up to his place at Seymour Arm, and the nights that we would be in the cabin or the house singing with Alan Sue or whoever else, Arnold, whoever else happened to be there, it was a phenomenal time. And he always said, I'm losing my mind because I have so many rock and roll songs in there. There's nothing else that I can't, there's no room for anything else. And I remember him telling me that about 30 years ago, and I thought, yeah, okay, that makes sense. I like that. That's a good way to look at things. Bruce is an artist. He had artistry in his family. His great-great-grandfather was a prominent architect in British Columbia, designed a lot of the prominent homes in Vancouver, in the uplands of Vancouver and in Victoria. So he loved his art, he loved his artwork, and he loved passing on to students. Lastly, Bruce is a storyteller, and that's what I want you guys to do. Tell some stories about Bruce in the open mic. And what we're going to do next is we're going to have a song from Alan Sue and Fawn. And then there's going to be a slideshow, so we'll probably all have to run down there. After Alan Sue, we're going to have a little bit of intermission where you can charge your glasses, and then we're going to have a toast to Bruce. In the meantime, I'm going to toast Bruce myself. So to Bruce, all the best. Thank you guys. Thanks for coming. You don't know how much it means to the family for you to be here. And I'd very much like to thank the Knoxes for having everybody here and going out of their way to do this. This they've done this so many times for the Barrett family. It's so nice of them to do it, and it's good. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for listening to me.
Okay, I handed out some of those songs. I'm Fawn. This is Nicolette and Deborah. We all play together on our ukuleles. Jim and I had the opportunity often to go up to Seymour Arm, and we met such beautiful people up there that it's nice to still be able to keep in touch with them. It's been great. So we have a song to dedicate to both Pam and Bruce to do with Seymour Arm. And you'll recognize the tune. Okay. You count us in. Almost
Long Ridge Mountains, Horseshoe Shrub Lake. Life is warm there, warmer than the sun, cooler than the mountains, touch the sand and run. Country roads, take them home, to the place that belongs. Love country, take them home, down country roads. Louder, Joe. All our memories gather round them, but like dinners, music in the air. Lost and dusty, colored on the trails, sweet taste of tequila, teardrops in our eyes. Country roads, take them home, to the place they belong. Shuswap country, take them home, country roads. I hear the voice in the morning hour, it calls me. It reminds them of their home far away. And driving down the road, they get a feeling that they should have been home yesterday. Yesterday, country roads, take them home, to the place they belong. Seymour Arm, Shuswap country, take them home. Country roads, take them home. Country roads, take them home. Country roads.
Almost heaven, Seymour Arm, Long Ridge Mountains, Horseshoe Shrub Lake. Life is warm there, warmer than the sun,
Cooler than the mountains, catch the salmon run. Country roads,
take me home to the place I belong.
Not to cough into it. I've had this terrible cough for a few weeks, but I'm not contagious. I'm good, I promise. Yeah, so Dad used to call me the caboose or his baby, or affectionately number 4. Maybe that's because they named me Marit, and most people couldn't say it upon introduction. They'd always have to re-say it over, like I do now, being the boy named Sue. I'm not sure, but anyways, thank you for coming and celebrating our dad and mom today. We weren't meant to grieve alone, so I appreciate you being here so much. I'll be sharing some memories on behalf of Allison and I, as we were the second round of children. I have so many fond memories of my parents. I had a crazy, blessed life with them. A life of adventure, hard work, and fun. Growing up, Allie and I had 2 turtles, 2 rats, 2 cats, and a dog, all of which were female. My dad would say, "I'm surrounded," you know. Poor guy, right? But he was a girl dad to the very core. He had a soft heart. Mom and Dad took many friends of mine and my sisters who needed places to live in high school. They took them in. They always said, "Mi casa es su casa," and they meant it. We always had people flowing through our home. It was a welcoming place. Dad would embarrass us with his hot tub antics. Try to see if our boyfriends would pass the hot tub test. But I only had my one Zach, so he's, but y'all know what I mean. Anyways, I have so many memories in California. We grew up learning how to play in the ocean, swimming and body surfing, and then boogie boarding, and eventually surfing. Dad taught me how to surf at Ventura Point on his old longboard with no leash. I did more swimming than surfing that summer, chasing that board. We were very fortunate to spend part of our summer sailing on the West Coast and hanging out at Seymour Arm. Oh yeah, he had to teach me the hard way. There was no way he was spending money on a new board with a leash. It was so funny. And that board basically came out of a trash can too, that he put together in like a fiberglass and fixed it all up. Oh God, so funny. Big yellow. I remember, so Tom said, what are your, oh, I'm sorry, I got a little bit off here, hold on. We were very fortunate to spend part of our summer sailing on the West Coast and hanging out at Seymour Arm. We have so many, it's like we have another family, at Seymour Arm, right? It's our second family. Tom asked what a favorite memory I have, and the first one I thought of was when Dad and Mom came to visit me in Hawaii, and I took them to see Pipeline. It's like a famous surf break. And when the surf got smaller, Dad and I went out and we surfed the sandbar next to the pipeline. Dad was body surfing, and we caught a wave together. And I remember looking down at Dad, and he had dropped in on me. And he had his classic body surfing face. He had his big mouth open, his eyes wide, and one eye was looking back at me, and the other eye was forward, so he could keep an eye on what I was doing. So funny. So growing up, all his students who found out I was Mr. Barrett Dude's daughter, they would ask me if my dad had a glass eye. And I'd have to tell so many people, no, it's not a glass eye. It just doesn't work properly. Because when he was in the Marines, he was shooting the gun and he had stitches in his one eye, and they came out, and so he never got it refixed. But he said it was always great for the art room because he could keep an eye on the kids over here, and then the kids who were throwing clay on this side, he could, hey, stop throwing clay, he'd say, right? Smart enough. And just so funny, because going through Dad's stuff the other day, he kept all of his letters from his students and stuff like that. He made the kids do lines. I will respect the art room. I will respect the art room. So funny. But he loved living in Canada. He always said he won the lottery living here. Kamloops people are the best. They're so friendly. Sorry. But maybe he felt that way because he was super friendly to everyone he crossed paths with. He walked this earth with very limited prejudice, and he embraced everyone in their cultures, age, and socioeconomic status. He taught us how to care for one another and keep a positive attitude, and he kept a positive outlook on his life until the very end. He would agree with me that even though he was in jail at Kamloops Seniors Village, he thought he was incarcerated at the time. It was a very good It had very good food and nice people. It was pretty bougie. And there was also some nice looking women in there too. But she got into a little bit of trouble. I get these phone calls like, yeah, okay, talk to my husband about that one. Oh, Dad's in a little bit more trouble. Okay, talk to my husband. Oh, God. Oh, he was a genuinely good human being. Dad and Mom were great parents, and later in life, they became my great friends. He and Mom are back together with their old friends and family, enjoying fresh new heavenly bodies, and I miss them dearly. I'm so thankful to my sisters who helped care for Mom through her end-stage cancer and throughout Dad's stages and struggles with Alzheimer's. And I know they're thankful and proud and smiling down on all of us here. So thank you. I love you all very much. Thank you for coming.
Learned a lot just observing Dad and, you know, watching him build everything. He built 3 saunas in the span of how many years? He had to have a sauna in every house we lived in. And every time I did renos or worked on my homes, he'd come out to Golden and help me build a, timber frame deck, and taught me lots about, how to use a level. That was an important one. But one of the best things he taught me was how to take pictures. And it is my passion, it is my life now. His encouragement and feedback definitely gave me the drive, and so did the endless rolls of black and white film from West Side Secondary. Thank you very much. He used to roll me out like 40, you can't buy rolls of 48, right? But he'd roll me out 48s when I go travel, and then I'd send them back to him, and he developed them. And I'd spend hours in the dark room there. It was just a blessing. It was so awesome. And he was, really good at critiquing, of course, I know, those sorts of things. One time I had forgotten some of the pictures that I had developed in the classroom, and they were from this certain nudie boat trip we did here with some of his ex-students, and luckily a teacher found them before his students came into the classroom. And I got an earful on that one, and on how, exposure and everything. And when I produced the all-female calendar for the Canadian Avalanche Association, Dad was one of my biggest promoters, and he and Allison, yes. And he walked all over Kamloops, to the sports store, and he'd call me, I need 20 more. My buddy down at Orange is selling them like crazy. I was like, thanks, Dad. He also got one into the hands of Yvonne Chenard in Ventura, which was a pretty cool thing. I am grateful for our summers as a family, that he was a teacher and he took that time, and Mom, to spend time with us, taking us to California, crazy road trips, because who doesn't want to be in a van with 3 of your siblings for hours on end? It was great. I could reflect on what Marie said there about the surfing, and, he taught us how to ski, and we didn't do a lot of it when we were younger, but, later on he caught up, and I remember he came to me one time, he's like, I just can't do it anymore. My old knees. And I'm like, well, Dad, and I brought my snowboard out, we need to learn this. And within 2 turns, he connected, like on our first run. And he's like, that's it. I'm frozen ocean for the rest of my life. And he did. He loved it. I was super happy that he didn't give up on that. And his friends, he had a really great community at Sun Peaks. And, it was awesome that he could still do it.
Grays on trays, Amy.
What's that?
You call them grays on trays.
Grays on trays. And that's as far as I got. But I just want to say thank you so much. I mean, it is a reflection of who my parents are by who's here. They had a lot of great friends. They taught us how to have great friends and keep those great friends. All of you, thank you so much. I love you. And, enjoy the slideshow. I'm sorry I had to cram 500 photos into 15 minutes.
The values and the values in every lesson that everybody has taught me in this family, whether hard or not, I couldn't ask for anything more. And Grandpa, I know, has left a really significant mark on myself, and as I heard more stories told by everybody else, I kind of related more to him and realized how more of an artist and how more his life actually is really attributing to my life right now. And like, it's really kind of cool, deep connection I'm having with that. So I want to say thank you guys, and I really appreciate everybody in this family.
Aw, that's beautiful. Well said.
We love the shit out of you.
I love you.
We love the shit out of you.